Okay, Shalom Akim, Kahala and Naya Habashim Yashabashim Hakudash, and double honors to Grams and Apostles. Thadi how Thadi Yashab for the strength in order to make this video. And Yaratazar, they also edified, which means to build up. They built up from this video. And also that you're encouraged as well, which is what exhort means. So Yaratazar, that you're built up and you're encouraged, man. So, to get straight to it, as I named this video, this is the part 2. Native American history, Gad and Reuben, part 2. Yahweh Ratazar, which means Yahweh willing that I can do this week by week. Of course, if I may miss a week, Yaratazar the next week, that I'll aim to do so as well. But the point is to keep this continuous, man. Get the research done, and of course, put it into a video, man. So this is the part 2. I'm gonna need to edit this after as well in the post-production, so that I can just put all the clips together. That's really what it is. So to begin with, because the captain was talking about Gad and Reuben in terms of their history, the weaponry of which they had, and the tools of which the tribes were using, man, in that time. Well, of course, in the land of so-called America, which really was originally for the Native American Indians, aka Gad and Reuben, of whom are Israelites. So I'm gonna put that Yaharatazar in the post-production, because let me play a clip first, then I'm gonna put some stuff, man, in order to clarify the points, man, that I'm making and that the captain's making as well. So Yaharatazar, that this gives you more knowledge. That's really the point. So let's get into it.
Get the other one I called for, and then get the, since you said that, bro, get the one where it says who shall rouse him up.
That's in the same chapter.
Okay.
I got one to back you up, though. Captain, I got one to back you up. First Chronicles and 12 and 37 says, and on the other side of the Jordan of the Reubenites and the Gadites and of the half tribe of...
Just to clarify right there, the Gadites on the chart, you see that chart there. I'm gonna do in the post-production to make a clearer image. On the chart, you will see Gadites, of course, being the Native American Indians, and Reubenites being the Seminole Indians. Which, if you get deep into the history, really the Seminole Indians you can see as a subsect of the Native American Indians, because they were in America as well. They were in like the Florida type of regions, man. So what is the Gadites being the Native American Indians, and the Reubenites, more specifically the Seminole Indians, which were of course a subsect of the Native American Indians. But at the end of the day, they're all Israelites, so those are the two tribes right there. This is also to gain more clarity or show more clarity on the Seminole Indians. Again, this is more so on Reuben now. The other clips were based on Gad, but this is more so on Reuben, because they were the ones of whom stood their ground, man, when Esau was trying to take their lands as well. So we'll begin from here. It says there was one primary language. Again, this is based on the southeastern side now, and it's the same chapter. Same chapter, chapter 4, northeastern and southeastern people. Of course, same book. Captivating History, Native American History. Captivating History being the authors, of course. So, getting to the point, the southeastern people says there was one primary language for the southeastern area, the Muskogean language. Although there were many tribes, 5 main nations were present: Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole. So when you see on the 12 tribes chart, the Seminole Indians as well, those are technically Native American Indians, but they were a subsect of it, because they were in a certain region of America, man. So-called USA. In terms of its landmass. So the Seminole tribe, those were Reubenites, and fast forward later on in the chapter, where it says when their rich fertile lands were used against them. So Esau, again, he was taking up that land. He was trying to extract the resources and take it away from him. So let's get straight to the point. It says here, I'll read this paragraph. So as will be explored in more depth later, there was a single set of native peoples that did successfully fight off the invading settlers of British descent. after the US had forced millions of Native Americans off of their land, including the Cherokee, along the Trail of Tears, and the Seminole tribe refused to be forced off their land in the same way. So Reuben, they were far more aggressive, as you can see here. And this is the proof. Refused to be forced off of their lands in the same way, using tactics. Again, remember when I said Gad and Reuben being like the master tacticians, using tactics that were similar to the ones the native peoples had taught the colonists during the War of Independence, which is referring to the Seminoles here. So the Seminole found ways to hide and escape removal. There were small pockets of people from the Cherokee Nation who nations who succeeded through similar means, but a much larger portion of the Seminole who were supposed to leave Florida remained. So that's why I kept saying the ones in the Seminole tribe of whom were residing in Florida, man, they fought back, and obviously it says here the Cherokee Nation, which means some of Gad as well. They could have been Seminole also, of whom actually fought back as well, because Cherokee Nation, again referring to the Cherokee tribe, man, that's in the southeastern area of so-called America, the landmass of America. So that's the point right there, man. Seminole, Reuben fought back. They were master tacticians. That's really the point right there. And Gad as well. They were too lenient with Edomites, man. These British Edomites that came to invade them.
With all manner of instruments of war.
See, all manner of instruments of war, man.
That's beautiful, man.
So we weren't just no.
And 12 and 37 says, and on the other side of the Jordan of the Reubenites and the Gadites and of the half tribe of Manasseh, with all manner of instruments of war.
See, all manner of instruments of war, man.
That's beautiful, man.
So we weren't just no arseholes, just throwing a rock in your head and hoping you don't miss. Intricate shit. Yeah. And there's one thing like being a warrior, it's like I'll walk up to you, pull out my sword out the sheath, alright, you know how I'm coming for you. But there's another thing where it's booby traps.
Stealth.
And I'll just kill you by you walking in the wrong piece of land.
Yeah. So of course, Gad and Reuben's being the warrior tribes, of course, Gad also meaning troop as well. Gad and Reuben being basically the warrior tribes of Israel, you could liken them because that's where their specialty is at. They weren't. You can't just see them as some stupid people of whom they're just making chants and in vain and just doing bullshit. At the end of the day, they were master tacticians, in other words, which is what the captain is alluding to. Which captain's the one who's speaking currently. On Gad and Reuben, man. They were master tacticians. I will go and get deep into it. Because in fact, let me let him finish his point first. Then Yaratazama show some websites, some research on it.
Ancient landmines, Yeah.
Holes with
spikes coming out of it.
Deep 6 foot holes.
Blended in hands. Gadites, they used to chill in the trees and spit darts at them.
How about the
blow darts, man.
Yeah.
The
poison.
But before you know what the hell's happened to you, you just want the last face you see is just some Gadites, But by the way, those are Israelites. See, we gotta put it like that. But people don't. Those are Israel. They're not Indians. They're Israelites from the tribe of Gad and Reuben.
You can see the brother I am Noah Allah as well. He's pointed to on the chart. Yaratazama put it up again. In the post-production, what he's actually pointing to is Gad, again, aka the Native American Indians, and Reuben, which is the Seminole Indians. Again, the Seminole Indians are technically Native American Indians as a whole, but of course, then specifically, they're referred to as Reuben, because again, they were in the landmass of America as well. They're the ones who actually fought back Edomites when they tried to, try to control them. The Spaniards, the Portuguese, the French, mainly Britain and Spain, being the predominant ones as well. But You know, the point is, the brother I know Allah here, he's pointing to Gad and Reuben, man, and then yeah, that's really the point, man. I'm gonna put it in the post-production.
Okay, there's artifacts out there, yeah, even to this day, of Lashon Kodash in America.
Yeah.
The name of the Heavenly Father, the name of the Son, in Paleo Hebrew. Not Assyrian script, Paleo.
Because remember, they found that box, remember? They found a box and it had the commandments.
Yeah, the commandments.
It was with the Hebrew.
A copy of the 10 Commandments, man. And then even the Gadite and Reubenite chant, Yo hey wa, yo hey wa, yo hey wa, she, yo hey wa. So they got the pronunciation, over the years the pronunciation went a little bit off.
But that was the Lord.
But it's the Lord taking it away. But what is yo hey wa? And what's yo hey wa, she? Yahweh Shai.
Yeah, so of course these things, as Gad and Reuben with their chants dwindled, of course, which is obviously the Most High's will for him to remove his name, and of course Yahweh's name as well from their mouths. You know, it became lost in translation, man. It became lost in translation. So let me show you a quick clip, and because I think Captain's pretty much made his point. Actually, before I do it, let's see.
So you got them chants of the Father and the Son's name, the Paleo Hebrew written on the stones, the commandments, code, the fringes, even like Gadite and Reubenite like law, it goes back to the Torah. The land Sabbath, working the land and living for 6 years, and on the 7th year moving to another piece of land. What did they pull it out their arse?
So this is the point which the captain made about Gad and Reuben really respecting the land Sabbaths. They were doing it without actually doing it completely. The reason why I say that, because of course they weren't following the scriptures, but they were doing it in their own, I guess one can say, in their own way. You know, so again, just to refer back to the book, you know, Native American History by the author's Captivating History, man. So, you know, I'm going to get to a few points here. It says in, obviously, page 16, a closer relationship. In terms of the chapter, I'll try to get that. You know, the chapter is called Current Understanding of Similar and Rival Tribes Based on the Region. And this was referring to the tribes within the group of the Native American Indians, aka Gad. Because Seminole Indians, those are Reubenites, which are also technically Native American Indians, just a subsect of them, since they were in a particular region, aka Florida. So, to the point, a closer relationship with nature, and that's what Gad had, you know, Gad and Reuben had. One thing that most Native Americans had in common, regardless of their location in North or South America, was respect and reverence, which again, reverence is just a deep level of respect for nature. They had a close relationship with the land that they lived on, and it was best expressed by saying, "We are the land." They did not see themselves as separate from the land, nor did they feel compelled to tame the land, as was the thought process of many Europeans, because of course we know that Edomites are here to steal, kill, and destroy, man. That's in their nature. The thief cometh but to steal, kill, and destroy. And we also know what Gad and Reuben, when they said, "We are the land," yes, there is truth to that, because remember in, if I recall correctly, Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 7, it talks about the body returning to earth as it was, and the spirit returned to the Most High who made it, man. You know, Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 7. So they have a point there, man. Gad and Reuben had a point there. But the problem was, of course, they turned it into idol worship. So, of course, the Most High used, Edomites, so-called Europeans, Spaniards, the British as well, being examples in order to deal with these Native American Indians, man. So, hence why it says here, not fully understanding the relationship between the Native American Indians, the Native Americans, and the land, many Europeans often misunderstood it as a part of their religion. However, there is a similar concept in Christianity, best summed up with the saying, "ashes to ashes, dust to dust," which, again, is mostly referring to Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 7. So, while Europeans saw themselves as being separate from the earth, while they are alive, Native Americans never saw themselves as different either in life or in death. This belief was prevalent among many of the native peoples across 2 continents, though to different degrees. It says Native Americans in Central and South America built large structures, some that were pyramids and more complex structures. So really the point being is, man, they weren't stupid people. Yes, they respected the creation, but unfortunately they also turned it into idols, man. So let me get to the point. The reason why I say they were idols, because there was a thing called shamanism, which you're gonna see that word right there in the center, shamanism, which really is just like the so-called idol worship or so-called religion they made amongst themselves, within the tribes of the Native American Indians, in order to worship so-called spirits, which again, it was all idolatry, demon worship and all that, without them really knowing. So let's read it. It says, hold on. Alright, so I'll start from here. Their belief extends to any natural phenomena, such as thunderstorms and snow, as well as geographical features such as mountains and rivers. Their religion was largely dominated by shamanism. Again, that's their idol worship. Comparable to a priest and a shaman, which essentially is a priest, acted as a medium between the world people could see and the next world. They were more active in working with spirits. See, different regions of the Arctic held different beliefs within shamanism. The people to the northeast held the mother of sea animals. So they were worshipping all kinds of gods there, man. Sedna, remember that's in, if I recall correctly, Deuteronomy 7 verse 26 to 27. Where the Most High will scatter us and will worship gods of wood and stone. So the people in the northeast held the mother of the sea animal Sedna the greatest esteem. Those of the western region placed emphasis on the moon god Igaluk or Aningan. All of their mythologies included tricksters and those with mischievous intent. So those are the type of idols they worshipped and the Most High gave them up to. So the Native Americans in the Arctic region were adept to making sculptures, working with ivory of walrus tusks and whalebone to create a wide range of tools and accessories. And it says the animal and nature masks used by the shamans and beautiful and show off the abilities of the people who lived in such a harsh land. Despite the difficulties of living in freezing climates, the people made some very elegant works of art, so that are works of art that are still remarkable now. So really the point really is that these the ones who gave reverence, as we read in page 16, page 16, the one who had reverence for the land, saying we are the land, yeah, there is truth to it, but they took it too far because they made it as a power, man. They made it as a power, hence shamanism being brought out of it. The moon god Igaluk, and also the mother of sea animals, Sedna. So these are idols, man. This is more so focusing on Gad and Reuben giving on to idols. But the point is to support the captain is the fact that they had knowledge of the land, man. They had knowledge of the land. This is also another point as well. If I recall, I think it's chapter 3, or actually no, chapter 4, northeastern and southeastern people. It says here, page 25, beyond mere survival, it says the peoples that the British were first encountered were not savages with a tenuous grasp on survival, Again, master tacticians, man, in terms of warfare, and even in agriculture, they were specialists. It says quite the opposite. These people had a much better understanding of how to live with the land and survive in a world that had 4 distinct seasons. Unlike the settlers from England, the people who lived in the northeast region understood more advanced methods of agriculture, and they had an incredibly rich culture. Rich in terms of the land and the resources that they had, man. They were very resourceful. So most of the Native Americans in this region farmed with corn being a primary product, of their more agrarian lifestyle, they also gathered foods with the forest and surrounding area. Then, to ensure the soil would be rich following harvesting, they would use slash and burn to provide additional nutrients. They were also hunters and fishermen. So, that slash and burn is really talking about clearing up the land so that you can prepare it for cultivation. So, that's really the point, man. So Gad and Reuben, man, they weren't stupid. The Most High still gave them their intelligence despite them, of course, operating in ignorance. And when I say operating in ignorance, I'm talking about them worshipping idols, as I brought out in this video here, in this clip here, where they're worshipping gods, the Igaluk, the moon god, and Sedna, the mother of all sea animals. That's what God was on. So, yeah. I'm gonna play two clips, on the point of Captain saying, your way ha she. This one that I found is reference to the Most High's name. I'll play another one as well, which will make it much more clearer. But here, you'll be able to see it, or rather hear it, with more of a subtlety, But let's listen to it.
Here is one of the oldest audios of our ancestors singing. Here is one of the oldest audios of our ancestors singing.
You can hear it a little, man. Your way ha, Yahweh, your way ha. But this is one clip. Let me try to show the other clip as well. You got this one over here too. Let me rotate that. As you can hear, from this title, it says Hopi Spirit Chant the Native American Indian, man. Which obviously within the Native Americans, there were many tribes, man. I believe Hopi was also one of the tribes there as well. There were many tribes across the landmass of America. So, as you heard, let me play it one more time. They're saying Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. So the point is dwindled. When I say dwindled, I mean, it's been diluted in terms of its raw pronunciation, which was supposed to be Yahweh. So imagine Yahweh being chanted, but of course the Most High, it was within his will to remove that, and of course to make them again worship gods of wood and stone. So Gad and Reuben were also subject to this as well, man. So when the captain was talking about your way, her, I've showed you the two clips right there. That the Native American Indians were actually, they were attempting in a very weak manner to call on the name Yahweh, but of course, as I keep repeating, the name dwindled across time, and until they couldn't get back to the name, man. So, that's really the point right there. And what Captain was talking about. But now, Yaratazar, I'm gonna put in another clip, in the post-production, Yaratazar, for some history, man, inside a book that I was reading. Again, it's in the same book that I brought in the last one, the part 1. But in this one, it's I'm gonna jump a few chapters because I've read a few chapters to illustrate the point on the weaponry, of Gad and Reuben, man. Specifically, more so Gad. Reuben, I'm probably gonna have to do its own series too, but we'll see. But pertaining to Gad though, they had some weaponry, man. Darts and whatnot. In fact, let me do this first. Do some research here first. Then I'm gonna get the one in the book. Yeah, when Captain mentioned about Gad using darts as well as weaponry, in order to shoot someone before they get poisoned, because certain of these darts would have poison on them, of which I think they call them blow darts. I'm gonna read the AI overview here, just to get straight to the point. Native American darts. It says Native American darts were used in various ways, including as hunting weapons, with some tribes incorporating poison into the dart tips. They could be used with a blowgun or thrown by hand, often with the aid of a atolat spear thrower, for greater distance and force. The design and use of Native American darts vary significantly between different tribes and regions. So that's the point right there, man. It says hunting. Native Americans utilize darts for hunting small game like birds, rodents, squirrels. The Maya, for example, used blowguns for dry seeds and clay pellets to hunt birds, man. Which of course the Mayans, the Aztecs as well. Those are reference to the northern tribe. More specifically Latin American tribes, man, because they were called many things. There was the Inca tribe. There was the Inca tribe as well. That's reference to the Northern Kingdom too. So, in terms of the Latin American side of the Northern Kingdom, so that was there. Poisonous darts. Some tribes, particularly in South America, and Southeast, use poisonous plants or animals to coat the tips of their darts, enhancing their lethality. So when Captain was talking about the intricacies of warfare, of which Gad and Reuben were using, they used the materials of which they had access to create those weapons, man, to fight against Esau. Of course, Seminole Indians would have been doing that too. So right now, Yaratazar, I'm gonna move on to the book. Make a recording and then clip it together in the post-production, man. Yeah. In this same chapter as well, of the northeastern and southeastern peoples, of course, same book as well, just to clarify, because I'm doing this in clips. So in the same chapter, northeastern and southeastern people, the northeastern people, they also had predominantly the Iroquois nation, or the Iroquois tribe, I'll say. Again, all these tribes that I'm saying are within the Native American Indian tribe, which is obviously they're all Israelites. So northeastern side, focusing on them, the Iroquois nation, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it says the Iroquois nation, as you see here. And then obviously they have sub-tribes, it says, such as Cayuga, Erie, Oneida, Onondaga, Seneca, and Tuscarora. That was there. They specialized in fishing. It says these tribes primarily lived near the numerous bodies of water that were teeming with fish and wildlife, man. So, as it says here, they were highly civilized people, so they weren't stupid. Now, going to the Algonquin tribe, these are all northeastern Native American Indians, two of them specifically. It says Algonquin speakers spread well beyond just the northeastern region into the subarctic Great Plain regions. Tribes who spoke Algonquin in the region included Delaware, Fox, Menominee, Pequot, Shawnee, and Wampanoag. There were higher concentrations of them along the ocean, where they fished for much of their food. They preferred to travel in light canoes made of birch. So of course, northeastern ones, they specialized in fishing. But despite that, the Algonquins actually, more specifically, had more tools, of which they used to trade with the Iroquois nation, man. of whom spoke Iroquois, as the word says here, Iroquois. That's one of the languages, Algonquin and Iroquois being the predominant languages in the northeastern area of the Native American Indians. So that's page 24 and obviously page 25. As it says here, hold on. Yeah, I read that in the last script. This should be here. So in the northeastern area, it says they had. Hold on. Actually, yeah, we read from here. So they not only harvested crops and had thorough understanding of the seasons to get the best yield out of the crops, they created pottery and burial ceremonies for their dead. They had rich culture with artisans, those who are skilled with their hands in terms of creating things physically, who were adept at creating copper tools, and they had their own traditions. Furthermore, it says a trade was common between the different tribes, again the Iroquois nation and the Algonquin tribe as well. It says which you can, when I say nation or tribe, it's interchangeable between the people of Iroquois and also the people of Algonquin, which are both Native American Indians, aka Gad, the tribe of Gad, the Israelites. So trade was common between the different tribes, which was made easier by the fact that there were only two primary languages. We just mentioned the Iroquois, and Algonquin. The Iroquois seem to have more corn and other agrarian products, agriculture-based products, to trade with the Algonquin for their animal products. They also traded their tools, pottery, and artisan items. And these tools right here were actually, you could liken them as also used onto warfare, and used for hunting. So that's really the point right there, man, that these Gadads, man, they weren't just people of whom had no intelligence. They had a high level of intelligence, blessed of the Most High Yahweh. Despite their ignorance, the Most High still allowed them to still keep their intelligence, man. Despite being in a low state. Go on. So in this article here, little website, the Algonquins, as I just read in the book as well, to support that, just a little bit more research. They're saying around 1500s, Algonquins, which really, again, one of the tribes within the Native American Indian tribe. What I'm trying to say is, amongst the Native American Indians who are Israelites, there were sub-tribes within that region of America. So one of them being the Algonquins. And getting straight to the point in terms of their tools and their weapons, it says here the Algonquin people made everything they needed using the materials around them. Tools and weapons, spears, knives, and needles, for example, were made of wood, stone, bone, and bark, which are hard natural materials. The blades they make for their weapons were as effective as metal blades. So Mosai really made Gad and Reuben to be very resourceful with the land of which they used in order to create these tools for hunting and diverse purposes. And as we read before, that they also used them to trade with the other tribe, the Iroquois tribe, of whom were, of course, were specialists in producing food, especially fish as well. On the AI overview, it says here, Algonquin tribes utilized a variety of tools, including the tomahawk, axes, and various implements for woodworking, hunting, and daily life. The tomahawk, initially made from stone and later iron, for a versatile tool for both combat and everyday tasks, often featuring a sharpened edge for skinning animals. Algonquins also crafted axes for woodworking, similar to those used by European settlers, as well as specialized tools for hunting and fishing. So that's it right there. Just that the way in the previous video I mentioned about the Algonquin on another website, of whom use their tools, man, for really hunting majority of the time, but they also use it for warfare as well. That's the point. You know, so Gad and Reuben, they had their specialty in these tools, and I also mentioned it within the book as well. So yeah, yeah, that's really the point right there, Hakim. That's really the point right there.